Now on BBC World, the stigma of HIV in Nigeria, in the final part of the Survivor's Guide to Growing Up.
It's 7:30 in the morning in Abuja, Nigeria's capital city. Gloria Asuko is helping her sisters get ready for school. Once the missing shoes and school bag are found, they can hurry off. Education is important to this Nigerian family. There are 6 children in all. Their parents work hard to pay the school fees. The children travel up to an hour each way to get to the better schools. Mercy Asuko is at secondary school. Her younger sisters, Esther and Blessing, are still at primary school. Gloria Asuko is the eldest. She's 18 and she's planning to study medicine at university. But not right now. Her problems began 6 years ago.
I was sick for some time. I was treated. The sickness would go and come back, go and come back.
The crisis came when Gloria collapsed at school. She was rushed to the local hospital.
First they told my father that I had typhoid. Then they said it was malaria. Then one day they told my dad that he should take me to a specialist hospital. It was at this hospital that my father found out that I was HIV positive.
Gloria's father had to cope alone with the knowledge that his eldest daughter had HIV, a condition which many in Africa think is an automatic death sentence.
They say there was no cure. Immediately doctor says that there is prevention, not cure. It makes me sad.
He had to break the news to Gloria.
He said to me, "Those drugs that you are taking is because you are HIV positive."
Good.
I was shocked. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't close my eyes. I couldn't even talk to anyone.
I was also too worried. The life would not longer long. Is going to live a very short span life, things like that.
So I stopped eating. The only thought I had was that I might die very soon. Die. I only thought of death. I didn't think about anything good.
Many people respond just like Gloria did. The stigma, the shame and discrimination faced by HIV-positive people makes them lose hope.
You think that everybody on the street who is looking at you thinks or knows about your status. And that self-consciousness and the negativity that has always surrounded HIV/AIDS makes it difficult for people who are living with the virus sometimes to come to terms with the reality of the infection.
Now, if a person self-stigmatizes, he does not also want to come out into public. So he stays at home, nobody wants to come to the house, and he becomes isolated. And the isolation leads to depression, and many of them commit suicide, or just because they don't come out, they fall ill, and they don't want to access medical care and things like that. And many of them tend to do very badly.
Gloria won't say how she became infected, but since the main mode of transmission is sex, many Nigerians assume all HIV-positive people must be promiscuous. Gloria's mother was deeply shocked when she found out her eldest daughter had contracted HIV. When Gloria needed money for her treatment, a fierce row broke out.
My mother used to say, "Don't give her the money. If she wants to die, let her die. If you give her money for drugs, how will we afford food, transport, and shelter for the rest of the family?" She was always calculating.
calculating. I can't feel I'm about her because I
was upset because I had warned her many times when she goes to school she should come straight back home afterwards. It was a big problem. I said, where are we going to get the money to treat you now? The medicine for this condition is too expensive for us. We don't have that kind of money to treat her. At first, her father gave her money to go and buy the drugs. I would argue with him. I would say, don't give her the money. We can't afford it. But he didn't want to hear that.
Gloria's mother earns money by making one of Nigeria's staple foods. She turns cassava roots into meal, which she sells to the big hotels. It's her only income. She was deeply worried about how she was going to support her 6 children.
That time
when Gloria fell sick, the cost really affected us. When she had to go to the hospital, all the money we made went on the bills for the hospital charges and the drugs. As soon as my husband collected his salary, it had to be used to pay off debts. Sometimes we had to borrow money at 20% interest.
She was also afraid Gloria might infect the rest of the family.
I was really afraid deep inside because maybe something would happen to the other children. Gloria might be using a knife while cooking, cut herself, and then the virus may spread to the others in the house.
So Gloria's mother decided to separate her from the rest of the family.
She ordered my father to build a separate room just for me. I had to use a different cup from everyone else, a different spoon. My pot was different. Everything I used, they were all different. My mother even told my younger brothers and sisters to keep away from me.
Let her go and die.
My mother used to say, let her go and die. She's a dead human being. If I see her walking down the street, do you think that is a human being that is walking there? It is just a dead body.
So she started calling me a dead body.
There is no understanding of the infection and the need for the family to support that family member. It fractures the family situation. And in a country like Nigeria, where the family system is really the social support that each one of us has, it could be very devastating.
Nigeria's traffic and its population are growing fast. $130 million people at the last count. Despite its oil wealth, the economy can't provide enough decent jobs. More than half the population is below the poverty line. So even the traffic cops have to dance for tips. But in Abuja, the city's growth comes at a price. The city authorities are demolishing buildings they say were built illegally. Churches, markets, mosques, and thousands of people's homes, including Gloria's. This is all that's left of her family's home.
This room was a bedroom. Here is the kitchen. This was the parlor. I was born here. I lived here for 17 years before they demolished it.
Gloria had an infection at the time and needed an operation. Her father was visiting her in hospital when he got an urgent call telling him that their home had already been knocked down.
We felt very bad because the very day the thing happened, and Gloria was very, very down, operated, and come back home, the house was demolished. We didn't pack, we just gathered everything in front of the house.
The family managed to rescue some of their furniture, but they lost many of their other belongings.
Even my clothes, as I sit here talking to you, I don't have any others. The demolition of the house crushed my clothes, my shoes, everything.
The family lost the house, the land, and the poultry business which had supported them. Their neighbours helped them find somewhere else to live, but now they have to pay rent for a much smaller house.
When I heard about it, I felt so bad. I was thinking, Is it because of me my family are going through all this pain? I was calculating what they had lost. They had lost their poultry farm, all the money in their bank account. Now they have lost their house.
In part 2, how Gloria's support group helped her come to terms with HIV.
My mother stigmatized me, my friends, my reverend, all. I want to see the decade essence!
And a new television soap opera. Can it challenge the myths and stigma that surround the disease?
My mother! We said she's not going to die now, huh? You said she's not going to die! My mother!
MSF's been in Dinso, in southern Somalia, since 2002, running the only health centre in an area with a population of 100,000 people. I'm Annie Lennox, watch doctors on the front line.
This really is an adventure of a lifetime.
The selection criteria is primarily that they are underprivileged.
What we talk about here is to stop a fire, not just slowing it down.
Britain has just sent its first female member to the European Court of Justice. She answers her critics who say it's a bureaucracy with a federalising agenda. Join me, Shireen Wheeler, for The Record Europe on BBC World. Will history judge the Iraq war to have been a foreign policy disaster, or will it justify George Bush and Tony Blair? Hear what 4 veterans of British foreign policy think. That's Iraq, the Aftermath, here on BBC World.
Many in Africa believe HIV kills almost immediately. But with good medical care and a healthy lifestyle, patients can live with HIV for many years, even decades.
What I like about being up here is this amazing view. Because you have over to one side Shingeti, 7th holiest city of Islam, and out on the other side, the sort of sand dunes you only see on the front of date packets.
Gloria Asuko is HIV positive. She's visiting the hospital where she was first diagnosed 6 years before. Back then, she was so shocked and depressed, she rejected all medical help.
I said, okay, before anyone knows I am HIV positive, let me poison myself. I will kill myself before people find out. The drugs that I was taking then, I put them in the dustbin. From then, I stopped taking any drugs.
I'm not taking anything drugs.
Many in Africa believe HIV kills almost immediately. But with good medical care and a healthy lifestyle, patients can live with HIV for many years, even decades. The staff at this dedicated HIV clinic are hard-working and caring, but their patients are still deeply affected by stigma. The benches in this waiting room were packed with over 30 patients, but when the camera arrived, almost all moved away. They were too scared to be filmed.
Gloria, good morning.
Gloria has managed to overcome the stigma. She now regularly comes for checkups with her doctor. The key event which made her realize she could live with the virus was meeting an HIV-positive man who was clearly living a good life, unlike her.
He was healthy, very big and healthy. At that time, I didn't have any hair on my head. All my hair had fallen out. I was thin. I had rashes all over my body. I looked so skinny and ugly. So when I saw this rich man, I marveled. I looked at him from head to toe. I thought, is this man really the same as I am? This man was rich. He was tall. If he didn't tell you that he was HIV positive, you would never believe it. I looked out of the window. I saw what a beautiful Jeep he was driving. I said, God, surely one day I will drive a Jeep like this.
Inspired, she's tried to take good care of herself ever since. But a few months ago, she had to have surgery because of an infection in her intestines. Her doctor is concerned that the treatment she is receiving isn't sufficient to keep infections at bay.
Perhaps the drugs may be failing. You may not be responding to the drugs for one reason or the other. And I do remember that in the past, you had problems coming to the clinic because of transport and getting your drugs. So that may have been responsible. We don't know, but we need to find out.
Dr. Ajaji is one of the most important people in Gloria's life. He's cared for her from the day she was first diagnosed. The other people who've really helped her through the difficult times are the members of her support group. Being HIV positive themselves, they understand exactly what she's going through.
My support group is very nice. They help me a lot, financially, spiritually, and academically. Even when it comes to transport, when I don't have any money to go to school, they help me out.
They all share their own experience of stigmatization.
When I told my best friend of my HIV-positive status, she abandoned me, she ran away.
All in my area and in my church, they started stigmatizing me. People, even my own sisters.
They eat my food, they come to my house, I play with their children. But before I know it, they started withdrawing.
The group members encourage each other to resist being stigmatized.
They have to be strong in the face of stigma, because if I refuse to be stigmatized, I can hardly be stigmatized.
My mother stigmatized me, my friends, my reverend, they all stigmatized me. But today, I'm even living more better than them. Even one of them that stigmatized me died last week. She's lived without the HIV, but she still died before me.
The network encourages its members to be open about their HIV status, arguing that only honesty and accurate information can overcome the fear and ignorance that surrounds the disease.
Stigma does not only affect the person who is being stigmatized, it affects the whole community because it drives the epidemic on the ground.
By the time I came back to my seat, the woman gave me a heavy slap. I must still touch my baby, are you mad? So you know that you have HIV and you're touching my baby.
Stigma is based on self-preservation. People are afraid. They don't want to contract the virus because they've been told that the virus kills, and they believe that it is infectious, so that it can easily be transmitted from one person to another.
And at the end of the mass, the Reverend Father said, "The peace of God be unto you," and the people started shaking each other one by one, shaking each other. Yesterday, can you give me a handshake? By the time I wanted to shake somebody, I just saw it like this going. See you?
People just are afraid. That's the first. The second that we find fuels it is a lack of knowledge. So when they don't know and they're afraid, then it opens up a whole vista of speculations and all sorts of untrue things which are said. So you want first to educate the public and continuously do so.
On the outskirts of Abuja, a new community is being built. Homes, businesses, a nightclub, a new police station. But nobody is going to live here. This is a film set. It's the home of a brand new soap opera being produced by the World Service Trust.
Right here, right here.
We're just outside Aisha's house. Aisha is a teenage northern Muslim. She comes from a very well-to-do family. This here is Aisha's bedroom. On the other side is the living room. And this room is her space. And she's carved this space out from the rest of the house, which is very traditional, very religious. And her big problem is with her father.
If you don't want to be a respectable woman by choice, I will make you one by force.
Chris is a policeman. He's grown up with a young woman who he loved from his teens, and she's gone to the university. She's learned now, and she's outgrowing him. And this is his big worry, that his wife of 7 years and with 2 children is going to leave him and go away to some new life. This here is the Bazooka nightclub. It's the clubhouse where all manner of shady things happen. In the pilot, we have Chris, who, looking for his wife, unfortunately finds a prostitute and HIV. All manner of young people are going to come here and will be ensnared. All of them are affected by HIV. Some of them start with contracting the virus, and ultimately, of course, some people die, which is the case here with Yetunde. Let me show you what's happening here. In here, we have Yetunde's house. Yetunde comes from a very, very poor background. Her mother recently died, and her story is about how a young girl copes with life after her mother, living with poverty. And in Africa, that's a big issue. And hopefully that will resonate for all our characters.
The series will blend powerful storylines with accurate, impartial information about HIV and AIDS.
Why do you not want to talk with Tikila? Why you don't want to talk? Let's take the phone into your house. I mean,
If you show real drama, real life, you're much more likely to convince people that that is something that's of interest and concern. This is showing them a whole life situation.
What is your problem?
You think we are that kind of people? No. Please, let us go in and take the party. Please.
The role that programs like this can play is to tackle stigmatisation by not showing it as being something to be ashamed of or to be afraid of or to be something that you run away from. When everybody accepts that HIV and AIDS is, for example, like cancer, is like heart disease, is like any other illness in society, then that's when we will have achieved the aim of trying to tackle the problem.
A sudden rainstorm sends Gloria and her family scrambling for cover. They all work and live in harmony now. Gloria's mother has come to terms with her daughter's HIV status. Understanding has overcome fear, and she has some good advice for other mothers.
If they have to face what happened to me, I would advise them to go to the hospitals that care for HIV-positive people. Join the support groups. They'll give you courage and practical help. They will help you to survive.
Mother and daughter are now reconciled.
Yes, I would say our relationship is now much better than before. She won't give me too much housework. She won't even allow me to sweep the house. Our relationship now is much sweeter than ever before.
Gloria's father stood by her from the beginning. His love and compassion held the family together. He shows Gloria his plans for a new family home. He's already bought the land. Once he's saved enough for the building materials, he'll start construction. Maybe next year. Gloria's future is starting to look a little brighter.
And that was the last in the series. Next week at the same time, the return of Kill or Cure.